the new X series of scratch-offs from the New York Lottery, you can multiply your winnings up to 100 times. The X series from the New York Lottery. It's a better way to multiply. You must be 18 years or older to purchase. Please play responsibly. Bills defensive lineman AJ Epenesa joins me on this week's episode of Bills Pod Squad. AJ gets into his body transformation and why he feels like he's currently back to his old self. He also shares why he loves being a part of the defensive line unit and how he feels more comfortable in year 2. We also get into his family of athletes and his youngest brother who's receiving scholarship offers before the age of 15. All that and more as we get going on Bills Pod Squad right now. Welcome into this week's episode of Bills Pod Squad presented by the New York Lottery. Maddy Glab here is your host, and I'm joined by one of the younger Bills on the defensive line this week. It's AJ Epenesa. AJ, you're back in Buffalo. You guys have been back for a few weeks now. Actually, you might have been here for quite a while because Leslie Frazier spoke to the media last week, and of course, you were asked about your progression this offseason, your rookie season, and he said, AJ's been around quite a bit this offseason. So we'll start right there. What have you been up to this offseason? How much of it were you in Buffalo for?
I want to say I was here for a month and a half.
Okay.
I think so. Initially, right after the season, I had went out and saw my sister in Florida, stayed with her for a couple weeks. I went home and saw my mom and my parents for a little while. But then I came back up to Buffalo to start my off-season training and kind of get into that mode where I got to put on some of that weight, kind of get that body change going. And that was kind of my mindset while I have been here that whole time, or this whole time.
By now, are you like the king of body change?
I don't know if I'm the king of it, but I'm close, because coming from 280 down to 250 is a huge transformation for me. And I mean, I can just feel the difference.
Is that a tough process, easy process? I know it's different for all players. You can talk to offensive linemen who have, left the NFL or retired, and weight comes off super easily, or weight is hard to come off. So I know everybody's different. But when you had to drop, was it an easy transformation? Was it tougher? Was it super annoying to have to start something like that and now get to a place where you feel like you're in the right spot?
Yeah, I would go as far as say that it was pretty easy for me, just because during my time at Iowa, they kind of supplied a lot of those calories. They really kind of pushed me to be heavier. And so I felt heavy. Like I could feel it. I felt like I was stomping on the ground when I was running, and like I didn't feel athletic per se. So dropping this weight, I've kind of enjoyed that process. Kind of feeling more athletic and getting back to my old self is kind of how I would describe it. But this whole process of trying to gain that muscle mass back and trying to add some more good weight to it has been fun as well, too, being in the weight room and being with all the guys now that everyone's back in town. So it's been a really good, enjoyable process, and I would like to be honest with all that.
Doing all of this body transformation and, coming back early to get into the weight room and, dealing with this during the season too, would you say that was kind of your first, not necessarily a wake-up call, but I feel like that's something that you had to deal with right away, that probably helped you mature in your first year in the NFL from the get-go, is paying attention to your body, what was being put in it, what you're supposed to play at, because I know your playing weight at Iowa was different because you were playing in a different scheme at Iowa. So you come into the Buffalo Bills and you're now playing in a different scheme here. And the first thing you have to do is be super conscious about what you're eating and what your weight is. So would you say that was kind of like a maturation process that you went through also within your first, few days of being in the NFL, I would say, or being in Buffalo?
I mean, yes, definitely. Just because, I'm living on my own now. From college, I've always had that roommate I had when I moved into my college house with my other teammates. Like I always had buddies around me. I always had teammates living in my place with me. So that was a huge change, was, living on my own now. So I got to buy my groceries. I got to cook my food. I got to, do all this and that. And with COVID, there's so many restrictions last year. And so it was a pretty weird transition, especially on that aspect of just kind of being by myself. But I have a lot of older teammates, Jerry, Mario, all those guys, and Trent even. I could depend on those guys to look out for me. Like Trent invited me over for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and I think even on New Year's I went over to Trent Murphy's place, and that guy can throw it down on the grill and make some food. So I was blessed to have teammates like that, be able to watch my back like that and, look over me and help me out whenever I needed it.
Yeah, definitely. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate chicken and rice by now?
Oh, I'd say like a 7, 8.
You're like, I never want to eat that. All I had to do was eat that. Was that like your go-to to cut weight, was chicken, rice, stay simple?
Yes. Chicken, rice, there's some fish in there, some salmon, just kind of mix some salads and stuff in there too. The most basic stuff, but I mean, that's what works.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly boring, but I've been there. I've done that before. I usually eat like that when I'm cooking food, so I totally get it, and it does work. But it's nice that you have the ability to use people with the Buffalo Bills, whether it's Jerry, whether it was Trent, whether it's the nutrition team, the strength staff with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, you're talking to and interacting with people who have years and years of experience when it comes to getting your body perfect, in the perfect shape, in the perfect playing weight for the type of defense that you're playing in. And Dion Dawkins spoke to the media also last week and said, I've been able to talk to AJ, and we talk at practice sometimes, and I say, hey, you're looking good. You're feeling a lot faster. You're feeling stronger when you guys go up against each other in practices. And when you hear some of that praise from your teammates and your coaches, how does that help you or motivate you when it comes to sticking with where you're at or getting to where you want to be?
That's just kind of, some confirmation where my teammates and my coaches and guys who are established in this league are, taking notice and saying like, hey, we've noticed that you're improving with this. We noticed you're improving with that. You're getting bigger, faster, stronger. So that just kind of, gives you a little more push, a little more motivation to really show me like all this hard work's paying off, and like other people are noticing it. The people I'm competing against are noticing it. The people who are my coaches and who I'm answering to are noticing it. So that's always a good sign when they think you're doing good. So I just want to keep on that track and keep it going.
Heck yeah. I know you said you were kind of getting back to your old self and where you feel comfortable with. Where was that old self? Was that at some point during Iowa, or was that before you got to Iowa that now you feel like you're kind of back to your old self or back in your old skin, I would say?
I would say probably early on Iowa, maybe even late high school, like just kind of how I was feeling. Cause I mean, I've always been a big guy. I got to Iowa at around 260. So if anything, I'm closer to my weight as a senior in high school than I've ever been since.
Okay, that's good to know. And you said you feel, going out in OTAs, how do you feel now? Do you feel like you're at a good weight where Leslie and Eric want you to be at right now? And can you feel that also taking reps against the offensive linemen here in OTAs?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can definitely say that like my weight has progressed and that I'm getting closer to where I want to be. I'm not exactly at my goal yet, but there's definitely been some improvements. And like you said, people are starting to notice. And then I can physically tell as well, just being stronger, faster, quicker, just in my opinion, of just improving through this offseason. So it's just about, continually doing those right things and just keep getting faster, keep getting stronger.
Body transformation wise, besides you, who's someone who's came back from the off season and you've been like, dang, you look different, or you're moving quicker, or you changed the way you look? Who else would fall into that category with yourself?
My guy, the first guy that comes up is Mike Love.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've seen Mike, but Mike put a lot of good work in this offseason. That was something he told me he emphasized. So I'm happy for my guy, Mike. He came back looking good. So I'm proud of my guy.
Yeah, I hope Mike Loves gets some awesome opportunities in camp. I know he's not a name that's tossed around between Bills Mafia, but I know you guys love working with him. We love watching him in practice. So I hope he gets some recognition that he deserves through training camp or during this season. Another player that comes to mind, at least for me, on the other side of the ball would have to be Devin Singletary. I know he posted some pics. I think it was on his Instagram or maybe it was on Twitter of him flexing, and you could definitely tell a difference with some of the weight and muscle that Devin has been able to put on. So it's cool to see everybody come back from the off season, look a little bit different, play a little bit to a higher level, whatever you guys were working on in the off season, now coming back and finally putting it together, getting ready for this upcoming season. But in preparation for this upcoming season, I mean, you've had the time to dive back into your first season in the NFL. When you turned on the tape, what did you see? What are some things that you picked out from last year that you liked, and what are some things that you want to improve on for this season?
I would just say, overall consistency for myself. Last year was a big transition, and then picking up on things kind of late on in the season. I wish, obviously, I could have done it sooner, but things started to click the more reps I got. And so as I got to playing more, things got a little more comfortable, and that started happening later on down the road. But it's just, I think for me personally, it's about starting at where I finished last season and just continually growing from there, being more consistent against the run, setting the edge, more consistent with my rushes, more wins, and just, being a presence is my goal, just so people know where you're at because they're concerned about it. So that's kind of my goal, is just, consistency, and then just dominant.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking.
I know you probably wanted to come out like week one, guns blazing, and it was like, dang, who's AJ Epenesa? And I know you said it came on in the second half of the season. I mean, it was the same thing for Ed Oliver in his rookie season. And unfortunately, last season, he had to take on a lot more responsibility because Star Lotulelei was not around this past season because he opted out. So, I mean, big things ahead for you, for Ed Oliver, for this defensive line as a whole. Do you feel like, I mean, the amount of studying that you probably had to do to feel comfortable in this defense probably took most of last year. If not, it's still a work in progress. And guys like Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde even say, I'm constantly learning more and more about this defense. Do you feel like you're at a place where you're more comfortable now in the defense that you're playing in than you were maybe this past year, because you've been able to review film from last year and because you guys are already installing stuff for this year?
100%. That was something I'd kind of talked about with some people here in the building. Told them that the difference from last year, this year, is I came in knowing nothing. I came in having to learn a whole new style of defense, a whole new playbook. And then now, obviously, this year I got a whole year under my belt, so I've got the baseline. I know all the plays. And now it's just kind of, there's levels to everything. So I know the basics of our defense. I know where the arrows tell me to go and all that kind of stuff. But now it's to the point where I got to see what the offense is giving me to what they can send from that point. They say the running back's here, so he can run it there or there, and he can't do this. So it's kind of about taking that next step and kind of diving into the different schemes of offenses and trying to learn about what they can give me and what they can't, and then taking steps from there. So that's kind of my mindset on where to go next, is like improving myself on our own defense and learning other offensive schemes.
Yeah. And I know this is something that I've pointed out before, not on this podcast probably, but just when I'm talking to rookies who are finishing up their first season or entering their second season, that I think goes unnoticed. And it's not like it's an excuse or anything, but you guys are literally on from your senior season through your entire rookie season. And this past off season, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it is your first true break, because you go into your senior season at Iowa, and then after that's over, you're either in a bowl game or you're deciding not to play in a bowl game, because then you're preparing for the scouting combine. And then you're also working out on your own to get ready for the combine. Then you have the combine, and then you're working out for the draft. And then there's the draft. And then you're going from when you get drafted to the end of the Bills season. And I feel like that's such a huge undertaking to like go for 2 straight seasons and not really get a true rest. And now you've been at the place where the season has ended and you can finally like exhale and kind of recap, what the hell did I just go through in the last 2 years? My body needs a break. So were you able to kind of get that reset, or do you agree with, you've been on for 2 straight seasons basically, and you finally got that first off season?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. From that senior year training camp, right before the season, all the way up until the 20th game of the season last year. That was literally the longest 2 years of my life, it feels like. I mean, now that we're past it, it feels like it flew by, senior year of college and then rookie year of the NFL, like it was all a blur. But the fact that it all was all in one big swoop was kind of crazy because first of all, we had 20 games, which was never, obviously you only have 12 in college or 13. And so it was a huge change, like having so many games. And it was a huge sigh of relief whenever you finally get to, get a break and you get to relax for a little bit for a while. That always feels good when you get to, tone it down and let your body finally relax.
And it's not like you went through a rookie season where it was just all normal. I mean, we all know the past year that everyone has had to live through. And for NFL players like yourself, it was on steroids because you guys couldn't really see anybody, be around anybody. You were inside the bubble. You're from a huge family. We all know your draft pictures and how many people were in that room around you celebrating the fact that you got drafted to Buffalo. I mean, what was it like not being able to be around them, and how awesome was it to go home and see the family after the season?
That was a huge change because my whole life, my parents, my grandparents, everyone has been able to travel to my games, or they've always been able to come and support. And so this year was a huge change, obviously, with all the new rules and everything they had put in place to restrict families from coming. So my parents were pretty sad about it at first, but they always watch the games. They always send me their clips. My family's a football family, so they all understand how it works, and they all call me after the game and tell me what they think, good job, and all this and that. And I definitely missed having them at games a lot. But I know that they're there in spirit, and I always know they're in my corner, and I'll never doubt that. So I'm excited for them to finally come to games this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you'll have a whole section cheering for you. Is there anybody that you'd get on the phone with after a game that was in your family that you'd be like, I don't want to talk to this person after the game. They're going to be a little bit too critical of breaking down the film right away? Or was it always fun to talk to everybody on the phone?
Oh, I was always good to talk to everybody on my phone because my youngest brother, I don't know if you guys haven't met Yosei yet, but when you meet Yosei, you guys will love him. He's my youngest brother. But me and him can always talk football, and me and Eric can too, but my dad as well. All of us, we all got a good understanding for each other, and we all understand the game well enough to where it's always fun to talk about it.
Okay, my wheels are churning here. If of course you come from a football family. Your dad played football in college. I know your brother, one of your younger brothers, is starting to get offers now, which I'll ask you about that in a second. But you guys should do like a podcast, like a family football podcast, because I mean, I know it exists in the NFL where brothers are in the NFL together, but I feel like you have quite a few people in your family who can talk football. I think that would be maybe something interesting to do down the road when you guys have some time in the off season. But what do you think about that? You down?
Oh yeah, I'd be down for it. Me, Eric, Yosei, and my dad, a little four of us in there talking football. I think people would tune in and watch that.
I think they would too. I have a dream to one day try and do that with my dad and my brother. We're not all like, I didn't play college football or high school football, so it wouldn't be about football. We'd probably just, complain or praise the Chicago Cubs. I know you're a Cardinals fan. Yeah.
Cubs, gross.
Yeah. They're a hot team in baseball right now, AJ. They were sucking it up in the beginning of the year. They couldn't hit the ball, but now they finally figured it out. I know you like the enemy.
Oh. You're a Cubs fan?
Yes. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago. You're from
2
Illinois.
hours away.
You're from Illinois too. You could claim the Cubs or the Sox, but you gotta claim Missouri.
I know. I'm from right across the river.
Yeah. Edwardsville, Illinois. I know all about it. All my friends from that area also claim the St. Louis Cardinals as well.
Oh yeah. We bleed red over there.
I get it. A lot of my friends feel the same way who I went to Mizzou with. So, but I'm only like 30 to 45 minutes away from the city. So,
oh, nice.
I'm a little bit closer. But yeah, talk to me about your brother who's getting scholarship offers. I think I saw one from Minnesota. I don't know where else, but is this your youngest brother who is starting to get scholarship offers for football?
Yeah, that's my youngest brother, Yosei. He is 13. I think. He's 13, 14. He's one of those two. And he's going to be a freshman in high school this year.
He's already starting to get scholarship offers?
Yeah.
That's legal?
I think so. I think they could technically offer him as much as they want, but they can't really talk to him.
Yeah. I don't know. No, that makes sense because I feel like I heard about that for like maybe it was one of like Peyton Manning's nephew or something like that. That's
Uh-huh.
supposed to be like the next, even better than Peyton. And I think he was starting to get not contacted, maybe offers from schools when he was like 12 years old. So 13.
Yeah. Yeah, Yosei is 13, and he's got an offer from Utah, Iowa, and Minnesota.
What position does he play?
He plays defensive end.
All
so
right,
he's keeping it. Yeah, he's keeping it in the position.
Keeping it in the family. All right,
Yeah.
compare the skill set between you two. How are you guys similar and different?
Me and Yo.
Yeah.
So back then, me and him were like literally twins. If you saw him right now, that's exactly what I look like when I was
He looks like you.
Yeah,
he looks like a clone of you.
Literally, he's like 6'3", 225 right now.
At 13?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I want to be a part of your family. I'm 5 feet tall.
I can't wait till you guys meet everybody when they get up here.
Yes.
You guys will love them. You'll love them.
Yes.
But Yosei's a big goofball. I mean, he acts like a 13-year-old. But he's out there balling. He's obviously bigger than most people, but for as big as he is and for how fast he is and athletic, I think that's what's really pulling eyes, is just his athletic ability with his sheer size and strength.
Yeah, at that age, who's got the athletic gift? Who's gifted the most athletic ability in the family? Is that an argument between?
That's everybody? A big argument.
Yeah.
That's a big argument. And, every time anyone has ever asked me this, I've always said Eric is the most athletic.
And Eric, is he in the middle?
Eric's my middle brother. So okay. My sister Sam is the oldest.
Yes.
Then there's me. Then there's Eric. And then there's Yosei. And then Eric, I always say he's the most athletic out of everybody.
How come he's the most athletic, or why do you say that?
Just because Eric's ability, like you ask him to do anything, he can do it. Like Eric is 6'3", 200 pounds, and you tell him to go windmill a basketball, he'll just go do it. And you tell him he played volleyball too. And you should have seen this man play some volleyball, jump up and just spike the ball. It was crazy. So, I mean, just watching him just do athletic things it's so smooth that you can't deny that he's
How old is Eric?
Eric is 19.
Okay, so he's in college already?
He's a redshirt freshman at Iowa.
Okay, following in your footsteps and your dad's. Mm-hmm. Does he play defensive end as well?
He plays outside linebacker.
Outside linebacker. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So a little bit similar.
Mm-hmm. He's a little lighter than us, me and Yosei, but he's redshirting this season, put some weight on, and he'll be ready for next season.
Oh my gosh! So he just needs to do the opposite of what you did.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I will help him do that too.
Yeah.
He'll put the weight on there.
I mean, the access, and same thing with the Bills, but the access that you guys get to food. I worked at the University of Tennessee before I came to the Bills, and I know the cafeteria in Buffalo. I mean, the food that's always out, it could definitely help you get to where you want to get to if you're trying to gain weight with the stuff that's available for you to consume, whether it's the big smoothies or, anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got plenty of food for us here.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the defensive ends that the Buffalo Bills drafted. So, first round, second round, no big deal. Hello, Greg Rousseau, and hello, Boogie Basham. What were your first thoughts when you saw, all right, the Buffalo Bills are drafting some defensive linemen here to start off the 2021 NFL draft? What were some of your, first thoughts? And I know you and Boogie have a relationship with each other that started before he came to Buffalo.
Yeah, no. So I never met Boog in person until here in Buffalo, but like you said, we had met through social media. We had talked a couple times and we had traded messages, talking about football, talking about ball, and complimenting each other's games and seeing videos and stuff like that and sending back and forth. So we had built a small relationship before that. And it was all just, out of respect as football players, and I still obviously respect both of those guys, and they're very good players. And, I'm excited because competition, breeds excellence. And that's what I'll say about that is that, they brought some good guys in, and everyone's here to compete. Everyone's here to, feed off of that. So I'm excited for how it's going to be.
The defensive linemen and the offensive linemen, I think, make up like half of this roster right now. When you go to practice at OTAs, I'm like, oh my gosh, half the team is linemen. But it's good because there's depth there. But what do you think about the group as a whole? I mean, you guys returned several players on the defensive line. Several players opted to stay and rework their contract or take a little bit less to be a part of this roster this season. So where do you think this group can go, knowing that you guys returned so many, but also knowing that like you're in your second year with Eric Washington, things are probably going to click a little bit more there than they did last year?
It just gives me a lot of confidence to have such a fun group, to be around. You've definitely seen the D line out there. You see us, dancing, working. So, the D line likes to have fun. We're a very close knit group. Sadly, last year we couldn't, do too much because of COVID. We couldn't do too many like bonding things or all that stuff. But we did what we could whenever we can. But now that COVID's kind of passing over, I'm getting really excited to, hang out with the guys, do some more things outside of the building. And now that the new rookies are here too, it's exciting to have them a part of the group as well because they're really clicking with everybody. So I have a lot of love for this group. I have a lot of fun with these guys, and we got some high expectations for this season.
Yeah, how has it been to be a little bit normal around them and be able to actually hang out with your teammates now versus your first season? You're a young new pup and you're trying to make relationships and you can't even do that. So how has it been to get to know these guys outside of the facility finally?
I guess the best way to describe it is, everything's just kind of calm now. I felt like when I first got here, things were kind of upbeat, fast paced. I was trying to learn this. I got to put my mask on, put my tracer here. Everything was there was a lot. And so now that things are kind of slowing down, I've kind of gotten settled in my role and learning what I need to do and where I need to be and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's definitely helping with me just calming down and just, taking a deep breath and understanding practice, understanding my meals because I got to eat to gain weight, and so it's been a huge help, this off season and then transitioning into year two.
Yeah, definitely. Who is the dad of the defensive line group? Who's like the most mature guy that you'd go to for advice or who's kind of over the
dad,
group as a dad?
The dad, I'll give it to Harry.
Yeah?
He's just the dad. Yeah, no, he's just the dad. That's just his role. He's the father, Mr. Responsible, the dad of the group.
So if he's Mr. Responsible, who's Mr. Irresponsible? Who's the goofball? Who's the one who's, always has comments?
All of us are the goofballs. We're all cracking jokes in that room. That's every single one of us.
All right, who's got the swag of the group? Who's the one who's bringing the designer, bringing the shoes, bringing the looks on game day?
Big Vern.
Big Vern.
Big Vern. He's always rolling in. He's got those jackets on, the big chains and the J's on. So Big Vern, he's got Big Vern, he's got some good style to him. I
love it. And where do you fit in that picture?
Me?
How would you say your personality adds to that group?
My personality? I compliment people. I'm compliment to other people's personalities, a compliment to the group, and just positivity, good vibe. That's kind of how I am. So I feel that, and that's kind of what I bring to the group.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's a big group. There's probably a million personalities within that group, but it seems like you guys get along pretty well. And there's some solid guys that are part of that group. I mean, Jerry Hughes has been a Buffalo Bill since the Buffalo Bills basically existed. Just kidding, but he's, been a part of this team for so long and has been there before Sean McDermott was there. So he's got a really good handle on everything. And I'm excited for you guys as a whole to build off of each other and work off of each other. These OTAs mini camp coming up. You guys got training camp. So what's up next for you? I know you guys will get a little bit of a break here after mini camp. So you got any plans? You going anywhere, doing anything fun?
I think I might go home. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I'm ready to go home and see them for a little bit. I've been up in Buffalo for a while. So after this, I think I'm going to go back to St. Louis and spend some time there for a little while.
Awesome. Thoughts about the season as a whole? I mean, you guys made it to the AFC Championship game I know the sights are set on more this year, inside and outside of that locker room. So what do you think of the group that you guys have as a whole, that's going to be able to hopefully pick up from where you left off?
I mean, we have a lot of veteran leadership in this team. We have a lot of guys with experience. And so, I'm confident in just this team and just being able to get the job done, showing up each every day, and just doing what they got to do. So I know that this team will do that. And when the season comes, we'll be prepared.
AJ, thanks for the time. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Thank you to all the listeners who tuned in to this week's episode. Make sure you stay tuned for more coming up next week. It seems like, AJ, you've had all this stuff going on your rookie year, whether it's like COVID or whether it's losing weight, then gaining weight, learning the playbook. I feel like this year, you talked about it earlier, you could take a deep breath and you feel more calm. And I feel like confidence comes out of calm. So it'll be fun to watch where you're at this season come week 1, and fun to watch your brothers too. I mean, you told us about them. So we'll see where the youngest one ends up.
Oh yeah, you got to keep an eye open for that. We'll figure. We'll see where that goes.
Looking forward to meeting everybody. Hopefully this next season as they all come up to Buffalo. So appreciate the time. We'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you.